today is the full moon. Full moon in Gemini. Around
My favorites.
6 o'clock. Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Me too, being a Gemini rising.
And me being a Gemini moon.
Yes.
So, yes, my moon is at home here.
Yep. Yeah, how's it feeling? Can you
Good.
feel it?
Yeah, I can actually
Yes.
feel it. I'm really
Same.
thinky.
Yes.
Though at practice this morning, people thought I said kinky instead of thinky. So I'm like, well, it could be that too.
Yeah.
But
Venus, I have my Venus in Gemini, and that can be definitely kinky.
I also have my Venus in Gemini.
Yes. There you go.
That is for another episode.
The
When
sexuality
we will
of
talk about
astrology.
Venus.
Yeah, I love.
Yes.
Definitely.
That was a sprinkle.
Yeah.
But today we are going to talk about working with the cycles of the moon in our lives and
That's
how
right.
beautiful and empowering it is to be aware of that syncing and how important it is.
Yeah, and actually I was thinking about it last night when I was doing some of my rituals, because last night the moon was the most full. So that's the optimal time to do your work. Because tonight it'll come to culmination, so it'll reach its full moon at 6 o'clock p.m. So by the time you go to do your rituals, it's like, oh yeah, that's actually when it's starting to wane, which is the energy is leaving.
Unless you do it before 6 o'clock.
That's right.
So today is a good day.
Tons of
but
time.
yes, and if you're going to choose an evening to do your
That's
stuff, yeah, you got to choose the right night.
Which is a good segue to working with the moon phases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, last night I was out here too doing stuff.
Yeah.
Had a full moon yoga class in here, so it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it's not just the full moon that you can work with, or the new moon.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There is a continual flow of cycling.
Yeah.
And I know that this is especially powerful for women because our bodies go through the same cycles, right? Where we wax in our energy, and then we wane in our energy, and then we bleed, and then we wax in our energy, and we wane in our energy, and we bleed, and we have this, we have like moon phases that are very much happening in us, that even things like when we're going to launch something, or when we're going to do creative work that's kind of in the shadows, right? Like birthing new things, like all of these things, like the moon is very much a part of how we live.
Yeah, and our cycle follows the same 28.5-ish days that the moon follows as well. So, which is a beautiful concept if you are, a man who wants to, want to use lunar work, or, you no longer have a bleeding cycle and you want to do that style of work. You can just go with the cycle of the moon.
Yeah, it's always there, always happening. And I can't remember a time in my life where
Same.
I wasn't aware of what phase the moon was in. Like as far back as I can remember, I would know when it is waxing versus waning, or full versus new. Like it's just been a part of my life for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, and it's important that, you don't need to know astrology to know the phases of the moon, and you don't really need to know astronomy either. It's looking up and seeing, okay, if the light is coming from the right, then we're working towards a full moon, right?
Yeah.
And then if it's a new moon, you're not going to see the moon because she's rising and setting with the sun. And then as soon as you start to see, within about 3 or 4 days, the crescent moon will be slightly behind the sunset. Then you're working towards the light returning.
Waxing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that poem where Lady Moon horns pointing towards the east versus Lady Moon horns pointed towards the west.
Yeah.
Waning, be at rest.
Yeah, I
It's
love
like
that.
Increasing, waxing, right? Be increased. So there's nice ways that we can know that too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it took me, I do remember a big aha moment though, where I realized, of course for you as an astrologer, you'd be like, yeah, of course. But I don't remember how long ago it was, but when I realized, that every single full moon, right, there's an opposition, the sun and the moon are on either sides of everything, and then the new moon they're together, and
Yes.
then that it's the rest of it is the cycling between, and then just knowing there's this dance of coming together and being apart and looking at each other, and coming together and being apart and looking at each other, and that's you know, something that even now when I explain that to people, they're like, oh,
Yeah. It does
so
help
it's nice to have
orientate
some
you.
basics.
Yeah, for sure. And it orientates you to the sign. If you want to use the signs for your lunar work, and you know that the sun is in Sagittarius, then you'll know the opposite is Gemini, and that's where the full moon will be. But you don't, again, need to know. It's fun to know.
Yeah,
And it
is
can
fun to
change
know.
the flavor of your work. But if you are inclined or desiring to work with potential energy that is like for releasing or for increasing, then you can do that just by looking up and being like, okay, I haven't seen the moon for a few days, so it could be, if it's not cloudy, it could be a new moon.
Yeah.
And then you wait, and then you look at sunset and you go, oh, I see, like the moon now, I can see that it's getting close to set in the west. This is when I can start working on things that I want to bring to fruition, right? And then after a full moon, which most of us can see because it's brightening into our houses, especially this time of year, after, a few days after, you can be like, okay, the light is starting to decrease. I could start to consider what I want to cleanse or clear or declutter or detox from up to when the moon is completely dark or rising with the sun.
Yeah. So it's simple in that way, right? Without knowing astrology, though there's another layer we can talk about. Like it's really cool knowing the polarities and that we have all the polarities within us, and that every single full moon when the sun and the moon are across from each other, they're like highlighting this center point that we want to be in. That this, adding energy, increasing, right? Adding more effort into something, launching something new, getting something out there towards the fullness. And then the fullness feels to me like it's like what was in shadow becomes fully illuminated. And that is why every teacher, every doctor, every emergency room working person, every police officer is like, yeah, there's really something to it. Because that full moon, that everything is illuminated, highlights what maybe was in shadow. So it brings what was unconscious into consciousness for a time. Yeah. So you can see it all, love it all, and then mindfully work towards like, what am I letting go of so that I can be ready to increase what I choose to increase.
And I always like to go out, like at night, especially like winter full moons are so beautiful because it gets dark so early, and then the moon is so bright and it's snowy. So you go look, and you can see almost everything. And that's very much the analogy to which you just presented. It's like there's still a shadow to some of the light. You can see almost everything that's happening, but it has a different hue to it. And to me, that feels very like full moon.
Yeah, so magical.
Right.
Yeah.
And it all goes in cycles. And this is where knowing some astrology, and I mean, it's like, this is not a hard thing for most people who have an iPhone or a phone, a smartphone. Pretty much everybody has an app, either a moon app or an astrology app on their phones. People are so interested in it now, right? And then understanding that you have a full moon and a new moon in every house or part of your chart every year, you have an opportunity to grow something and release something from that area of your life, which is like really, and it's not a difficult practice. It's actually a pretty easy one to implement.
Yeah, if you know your chart.
Yeah.
So from the non-astrologer, if I were you, say, listening, and you didn't know anything, be like, start with just understanding the cycles of the moon just in the waxing, fullness, waning, right? Rebirthing, like through that. Just start there is really powerful. Then the next layer you could add on would be understanding, even if I don't know my own chart, I can understand that tonight's the full moon in Gemini. So Gemini, the sign across from that is the sun is always going to be in the sun's going to be in Sagittarius right across the wheel. And Gemini is the opposite, and there's polarities. So it's like that's something cool to work with. And then to know that every single time you have a full moon, there's this polarity, you're working around this big clock. And then every new moon, they're together.
And you could even, like, going back to what we talked about the last time about the wheel of the year, you could just use the months and the seasons and find your own energetics. So if you think about, like, Sagittarius, we're, like, leading to Christmas, so you think about what, like, that energy is like. And then in Gemini, you can be like, oh, you're looking more at, like, that, June, kind of early, like, almost summer feel. And what does that feel like? And blend those and be like, well, that's what I'm bringing. Like, that's the energy I'm bringing to the table today.
Yeah, I love that.
Right?
And then, yes, if you knew your own chart, and then that's this third layer where you can go, okay, I have my own chart. So for me, it happens to be that Gemini is my 12th house. So across the wheel is 6th house. So I know that that's like my daily, Sagittarius is in my house of daily routines and my work, and that Gemini is in my house of like the hidden and the subconscious, right? So knowing, then I have another layer that I can work with. So I know how I can best use the currents of energies that are here. And then that was so empowering to learn.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
So it's really fun.
Yeah, it is fun. And I feel like those are like light steps to take towards aligning with the cycles. And then I know for me, I give allowance for myself so I don't feel frustrated trying to do certain things at certain time periods. Much like a menstrual cycle. It's like if I am, like first day of my bleeding cycle, I'm not going to try to maybe go for a run. I never would anyways, but let's say, let's be real. We'll pretend. Or something like that.
Right.
I'm going to maybe like rest and be quiet and like care for my body, which is very much that like extreme dark moon phase.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like if it's the dark moon and you're like, well, I kind of want to decide when I'm going to go hang out with friends. Or maybe I want to launch something new, or maybe I want to apply for some jobs, or maybe etc. Right? I'm like, maybe that's a time to consider what's holding me back, or how does my body feel? What does my mental state feel like? Do I have anxiety today? Like, is there ways to care? Can I sleep more? Can I implement more care for me so that I can grow better, as the waxing energy comes in?
And there's super practical ways of working with this. Like all of the biodynamic farming stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
When to plant things that are going to grow above the ground versus below the ground. And there's calendars for this. It's all in the Farmer's Almanac. Like the good days for planting certain things is all because of the moon.
That's right.
The moon phases. And if we want to get
I knew you were going to say that. Like, that's the most, I feel like
so
it's the one
fun.
that makes sense, too.
Yeah.
It's like, if I want to have a style that's, like, sustained, so my hair would be not as likely to grow as fast, I would cut it during the dark moon. Right? Because then I'm like, okay, I have long hair, if things don't want to grow, we're going to sustain, right? And then if we're looking at maybe getting, more hair growth or, like, having longer hair faster, we would cut our hair during a waxing moon phase so that there's more potential for growth. So I feel like that's such a great visual, too, because it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Right. So, and like, it's great to have hairdressers who get this. So I was absolutely like, hey, Courtney, I really want to use like the extreme beginning, waxing energy of the moon in the first few days where it's starting to grow. It's when you get the most triggering for growth of hair, because I'm growing my hair out. So I'm like, do you have time around the, this day to this day is when I want to work. And of course I've got someone who's like, absolutely. And also hair removal, like waxing and shaving and things like that are good things to do in that waning energy because things don't grow. It's
because
amazing.
that's when you would prune, like in the planetary planting. This is when you go around and prune and weed and clean up. Yeah, is during the extreme waning.
So it's very practical to know this stuff.
Yeah. So to just like make it simple, if the moon is full, like today, we will start to lose energy. So that's like, just to keep it like, if you want to start doing some work, the moon is full today, we're doing our full moon ritual, we are like celebrating what we've birthed or brought into the light, we are dreaming big, we're like Yeah, we're more in celebration of what we have brought in, and you can, this is a good, if you like to manifest, these are good manifesting days because it's very light and abundant and full. Think of like that full pregnancy feel where like something beautiful is going to happen or happening. And then the days leaving, we're starting to get less and less energy. So this is when you can start to think, okay, what do I want to grow next? You know, what do I want to plant next? We're not doing it yet. We're just considering. We're letting the energy decrease. We're still in celebration, acknowledgement of what we've brought to the light. As we get closer to the darker days, then we go, okay, well, what do I need to cleanse? Where do I need to make space?
Yes.
So this is where you go, okay, are there things that I can look at and make some changes or remove things from my life or surroundings that feel heavy or, you know, they're no longer serving me? Taking that pause, the few moments around the new moon, so a few days, and I always say, as soon as you see the crescent, you're good to go. Like, okay, what feels like it wants to come forward? And that's when you work with your shadow too, and be like, what's hindering me from planting new seeds? Is the ground fertile? You know, is there anything that needs to be taken care of?
And you kind of tend that
That's
on
right.
that way down to the new moon.
That's
like
right.
You have to remove the old dead growth from the garden.
That's right.
Before you have the space to plant the new seeds to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you have those 2
Absolutely.
weeks to make those dreams happen, whatever they are. And they can be small little things. Like, I want to start a new routine for myself. I want to dream work. I want to journal. I want to think about my summer garden. Like, that's something that's a beautiful thing to do. You know, Capricorn energy that we'll move into with the solstice. It's like, okay, what does my summer garden look like? Because it's the polarity of summer.
And then it keeps that sense of we're moving around the wheel and we never forget that we're in a dance with the opposite, which is always nice to remember when we're in the darkest days, to be dreaming of summer, but also fully present in darkness.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So what's your favorite, do you have a favorite full moon ritual well, we can wrap with that.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, well, like last night I align my Wednesday evening yoga practices with the phases of the moon too, so that we have a sense of what are we doing. So more yin, more relaxing, more letting go, more twisting practices as the moon wanes. And then the full moon is like, very celebration, shaking medicine, like getting the energy moving, being full, like filling the body with energy and like claiming that space, and lunar salutations to honor. So I really like to use my body in that way to like be in that fullness and that claiming. And then it happened to be Gemini, so there's a lot of like
Duality.
right, left, balance stuff play, which is really fun. And then so I love that. And that will be it's a gratitude to me. If we're going to be letting things go, we see usually in that light what we also need to let go, but to practice gratitude for all of it. So it's that fullness and my wholeness, including my shadow side illuminated, to give gratitude for the parts of me that have kept me safe but maybe aren't things I want to keep. So I think gratitude is the big, if I was going to have one word for how I work with that full moon energy, it's like, okay, gratitude for all of it, even when I'm seeing what I don't always want to see. And then I can do the write it down and burn and release and let it go. Yeah.
That's so fun. I would say
yeah.
gratitude. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, for me, I try and hope that we can see her. And even if it is a day before, a day after, for me, I always go outside or I like sit in the window and spend time like looking up at her and saying like, I love you, thank you. That's like,
That's
like,
nice.
thank you, I love you. And I'm very aware of my thoughts. So I feel, you know, like a practice for me would be, well, what's coming up for me? Like what is coming up into my subconscious or into my conscious from my subconscious? So if are there fears, or there memories, or there thoughts, or there patterns or direction that my mind is going or my heart is going, and I notice that. And then of course, like I do line it up with my astrology, being an astrologer, that makes sense for me. And I'm more witness to my energy in that way. And I like to move my body too. I feel like I'm more, like last night, I mean, it's Gemini Sag. So I put my Nana's like ceramic Christmas tree up, and I gave the house a good like little smudge, and like was really calling in new joyful energy. And I like the Gemini piece because it does rule like merchants and money and like little like interchanges and exchanges. So I changed my wallet.
Oh, fun.
So I just thought that was kind of fun. So like I was like, oh, okay. I took all my stuff out of my old wallet and I changed my wallet and I kind of gave it all like a little cleanse, put new crystals in it, and just like, okay, I want to like transfer new energy for that like energy exchange of money, which I thought was kind of
That's fun.
which is fun. And that was an intuitive. That was in my mind, being like, I feel like I need to, you know, do that. And then new moon energy for me, I do rest. I mean, I'm a Taurus moon, so I'm like, you can't, like, I have no trouble resting. I rest, I cozy, I rest. I might read and listen to music and see, like, where I feel creatively. And usually at that time, I do tend to get inspired of things that I want to continue to work on, but I get real quiet. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Because I was born under a waxing crescent.
So beautiful.
And all my life, I'd say that those sunsets where it's that clear wash and there's no clouds and it's that beautiful gradient,
Yep.
that twilight color, and that first crescent horn shows up, all my life, that is the most captivating, mystical, magical thing. It's my most beautiful shape that to me, it's the most beautiful thing in the world.
I love it too.
Like, that's it for me. And then I learned later, I'm like, okay, I was born under that, like, you know, that waxing, and it always feels like this promise of something new and a dream, and there's that energy really, really feels like extra magical to me. Yeah. So then that's another fun way to know, and you can know just by your birthday to look up what phase the moon was in, and then to see if that lands for you, right? If you're, you know, if you're a waning moon or a waxing moon or a full moon or a new moon baby, that's probably in you somewhere, and it'll make sense when you know what it is.
Well, and I do guide that, you know, with clients. If they're like more new moon or like a balsamic or extreme waning moon, you may actually feel more like fertile and alive at that time because that's what you were birthed into, right? And a full moon, if you're a full moon baby, that might actually be like too much energy. So you do, again, this is like maybe like the advanced layer, right? It's like, how does my body, like, what's my resonance with that moon phase? I'm a third quarter, so I'm like right, you know, a few days before a new moon. So I tend to like.
You like to go into the shadow.
I like to go in the
and
shadow.
You like to play in that. Like,
yeah.
Let's get in here and really.
Yes.
Right.
I
like,
do.
and that makes it's so cool.
Yeah.
Right?
And that feels.
There are people who love to like get right in there and like go deep. Right?
And that's where I tend to get my greatest ideas and feel the most potential and get excited about the next phase and want to do things, where that might be a time period where other people just might feel a little more discouraged or quiet or like a bit of stagnant energy, which is all good. So knowing that is fun play.
So, and then it comes back to knowing yourself and claiming your sovereignty, as all roads lead back to knowing what's there, what's potential, how you can work, and ultimately you are the magic.
Yes.
You're the one who knows. But to know what you're sinking to and to be open to that possibility definitely gives
100%.
you some roads inward and outward, spiral.
And even just noticing her and just, you know, paying attention and having communication is a great way to begin. And that alone will set you into, you know, some alignment.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh, it's a magical world.
It is. Yeah. Happy full moon to you.
Happy full moon to you too.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is actually, I don't want to like blast this out as a thought and as a question. So if people see this, it would be nice to have conversation actually, and then like in comments and things like that. Men out there, I am curious because women are in this cycling stuff all the time, And men tend to have this like 24-hour circadian rhythm that's very consistent. So men out there who start to bring in the awareness of the cycles of the moon can connect to things outside of themselves, which will help maybe connect to things inside themselves in a different way. So I'm curious about the men out there and how bringing in some of this lunar awareness maybe feels different for you, you know? Or, and on the other hand, women too. Like, how does reclaiming these cycles and starting to pay attention, how has it empowered you in your sense of embodiment in a female body? I think this is, we're all here to live.
Yeah, I love it.
On the planet, so it's nice to, you know, I love conversation, so.
Me too.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. Okay.
All right.
All right,
Till
well,
next
happy
time.
full moon, babe.
Happy full moon.